one of the things that I've noticed in recent weeks or months is as some of these applications and projects have been completed, and in the process of the paperwork, it has started that we're not, there are a lot of questions. And even though we've written them down, Roy Laney redid the Life to Eagle process. It's out on the website. That's Troop 10 Columbia, Troop10 Columbia.com. And that document is out there, the Life to Eagle process. And it's a very comprehensive guide to the process. But I wanted to kind of get everybody together because I think that everybody on this call is at some stage moving from Life to Eagle. There may even be some guys here who are about to be Life and about to start the process. So this is just an opportunity to kind of run through everything and maybe cover a couple things that might have gotten missed, and so that you guys can learn from that experience. So the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do when you start your Eagle, when you start working on your Eagle project or on your Eagle rank, make a folder on your computer, but put it on your desktop so it's going to be somewhere that you can refer back to and find easily. You're going to have to do things, put stuff in there like pictures, all kinds of notes and receipts and everything. And if you keep it all in one place, you're going to be a whole lot better off. Now, what goes in that? The first thing that's going to go in there is called the Eagle Scout Rank Application, or that's the ESRA. Now, the Eagle Scout, you can get it from a couple of different places, all right? But I'm going to recommend that you get it at indianwaters.org, www.indianwaters.org. That's the council website. So if you go to the council website and you look up here in the right, this is what it looks like if you hadn't been there. But over here on the right, it says more. And if you drop down here, it says forms and documents. And if you come to the next page, if you click on that, 4th down right there, Eagle, forms and documents. And here's the Eagle Project Workbook, your Eagle Scout application, and the Eagle Recommendation Form. First thing we're going to talk about is this application in the middle. So when you click on Eagle Scout application, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. Okay. Now, this is a fillable PDF. You see how it says up here in the right, left-hand side, fillable.pdf? That means that you can go right here, anywhere in these blue shaded boxes, and you can type information. Here's the problem. This is coming from scouting.org. This is from the national office. If you start typing in this document, and then you can print it right over here, you can print it. But if you try to save it, you can't save it to the national website. There's something like 2.5 million scouts in the nation. If 2.5 million people try to save their own personal documents, it would crash their server. So the first thing, before you make any marks at all on this document or any document that you download, I want you to go see this arrow right over here. You download it. You click it right there. It'll show up in the lower left-hand corner, and then you save it. You might have to move it, might have to copy and paste it or cut it or whatever and move it into that Eagle Stuff folder. Then once you've got it, and then you can name it whatever you want to name it, once it's there, it now resides on your computer and you can make copies of it, okay? And you can print it, you can add to it, you can save it, you can come back to it later. All right, you're gonna put it in that Eagle Stuff folder. While you're there, while you're here getting your Eagle Scout application, go ahead and get these other two as well. Put them in this folder, your Eagle Project Workbook and your Eagle Recommendation Form. You're going to need all three of these documents as you move through the process. The more familiar you are with them, the easier it becomes as you start working through it. Okay? So you're going to click on your Eagle Scout Service Project Workbook, and it's going to come to a page that looks something like this. You're going to be tempted to click any of these blue links here. And if you click right here, it'll open up that workbook. Don't do it, right? Read the directions. Right down here, if you start here, you're going to be in bad trouble. You need to go down here where it says right-click on the link, Eagle Scout Service Project Workbook, with that document number. When you right-click on it, you're going to save it, and you're going to save it into that Eagle folder, that Eagle Stuff folder. Same reason, you can't save to the national server. This is something coming from, you look up here, it's coming from scouting.org, it's coming from the national server. You can fill it out, and you can print it from here, but you can't save any of that information. So be sure to save it before you start, because you're not going to do it all in one session. All right. And the last thing is the Eagle recommendation form. Is something that comes from the Indian Waters Council. It's not a national document. When you click on it, it says, it looks like this, okay? And we're going to go over what's on this document. But this is, when you start asking for your letters of recommendation, this is a form that you're going to give your letter writers. All right. So let's start with the Eagle Scout rank application, the ESRA. The ESRA is a 2-page red, white, and blue document. It looks exactly like this when you print it. Now, you can print it black and white. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be printed in color. But we're going to take it piece by piece and kind of go through all this. All right, the first part is just kind of some basic demographic information. So up here, this is important. These 30 boxes right here are for your name. And it doesn't, if your name is Archibald Williams Jones, you don't put Archie, right? You spell out Archibald Williams Jones, the 14th, whatever it is, okay? You put your full legal name, all 3, and if you're a junior or a third, you put all that on there. Now, if it doesn't fit, then you can go back and abbreviate one of them, but you start out putting everything. Reason is, National Office, the database has 30 spaces reserved for the name of the candidate. So whatever you put in here is what's going to be in the national records forever. Okay. All right. Now you got to fill out your after your name, your address, your telephone number, your email address. Down here where it says troop, you're going to put troop 10, 10, and then unit city is Columbia, South Carolina. All right. We are a unit. Now this application is also for Sea Scouts and for venturers and for things like that. That's why you've got when it doesn't say what troop you're in, because not everybody uses troops. So be sure anytime it asks for a unit, it's just asking for what troop number you're in. Over here in this box is just some basic information like what day did you join the Scouts. Now that information is largely going to be available on your printout from Troop Master. Now you're not a varsity scout, you're not a venture, you're not a Sea Scout. You leave all those blank. But you do have to put down here the date of your first class board of review and also your Star Scout board of review. The reason for that is both of those require some seasoning. You've got to be a first class scout for 4 months before you can be Star. You've got to be a Star Scout for 6 months before you can be Life, and you have to be active as a Life Scout for 6 months before you can be Eagle. So this is just to record what those days are, when did you become, so they can double check. It's kind of a checks and balances thing to make sure that you were there. It asks, were you a Cub Scout? If you were a member of Troop 10, you hit yes. Were you a Webelow? Did you earn the Arrow of Light? Yes or no? And had you completed the 5th grade upon joining? If you crossed over on, even if you're using May 15th, go ahead and say, yes, I completed the 5th grade. Okay? That's the basic personal information on the first part. Now, the next part right here talks about the age requirement. Now, the requirement says that you have to be 18. You have to complete all of the requirements prior to your 18th birthday. Now, that means that 17 years old and 364 days that's how much time you've got until you run out. So you've got to record your date of birth. And also, you have to be active in, right there, requirement 1, be active in your troop for at least 6 months as a Life Scout. So if the date of your Life Scout Board of Review was May the 1st, and you turned 18 on June the 1st, that's only 1 month, and you do not qualify to be an Eagle Scout. You have to be Life at least at a minimum 6 months prior to your 18th birthday. That makes sense to everybody? It should, okay? So those are just dates. Again, you should know your birthday, and your Life Board Review date is going to be in your handbook, number 1, and it will also be on your Troop Master printout. All right, the next section talks about the letters of recommendation. If you look at requirement 2 to be an Eagle Scout, it says, as a Life Scout, demonstrate that you live by the principles of the Scout Oath and Law in your everyday life, and tell how you did your duty to God. And then you've got to list 6 people who would be willing to vouch for you and say that, yes, that you've lived by the Scout Oath and Law. So the first one's your parent or your guardian. So if if one of your parents is not willing to write a letter of recommendation for Eagle, then we got big trouble. So that's a freebie right there, right? Next one is a religious leader. That can be a preacher, like a youth group leader, somebody at the church who can address how you live your life spiritually. Educational, we're looking for a teacher or a principal here. This is not a coach. So a lot of people will ask me, hey, can I get my lacrosse coach? Can I get my football coach? Can I get my cross country, tennis, whatever? Can I get my coach to write a letter for the educational reference? The answer is no, unless that coach is also one of your classroom teachers. Then the next one is an employer. If you have a job, if you do not have a job, or if you don't have, maybe just started a job and your employer doesn't really know you, you can leave that blank, just put NA. And then two other references can be anybody. It can be a family friend. It can be a neighbor. It can be maybe somebody else who has been an Eagle Scout. I mean, literally, it can be anybody. So you need a preacher and a teacher and two others, basically. Okay. All right. Then we're gonna now. How do you ask people? How do you ask people about to write you a letter? Well, basically, you got to pick up the phone and ask them. So I'm gonna give you a little script. This is kind of a little cheat right here. So, hi, Mr. Smith. This is Flynn. I'm wrapping up the work on my Eagle Scout. Would you be willing to write a letter of recommendation on my behalf? Now, anybody that you're going to know, you're going to know they're going to say yes, or you wouldn't have asked them, right? You know they're going to say good things about you. They're going to say, sure, I'll be happy to. And you're going to say, great, thank you so much. Is it okay can I get some information from you? And then you're going to ask them for the stuff that you're going to need to put on your application: their name, their address, their phone number, their email address. This is all on the ESRA. These are the 4 pieces of information that you need, because they're going to send that letter into the Scout office. If the Scout office has not received the letter, they are going to pick up the phone and call your person because you've given them your address, their phone number, and their email address. So they're going to contact them on your behalf, right? And so I'm going to email you a form with the address of where you need to send the letter. You need to mail both the form and the actual letter to the address of the form. Do you think you can do that as soon as you can? And they'll say, of course, I'll be happy to. You're going to say, great, I'm going to send it in. Now, this is the form you're going to send them. We talked about this Indian Waters recommendation form. Now, it says right here, it's got instructions that said this is the highest award that a Boy Scout can earn. And by writing the letter, you're saying that, and you're evaluating that scout based on those things. It's got a place where they can check off on things like leadership ability and your maturity and your organization skills, and they're going to check superior, good, average, or can't judge. They're going to write their name and some contact information. They're going to sign it, and then. But the most important thing on this form is down here at the bottom, this little red box. That's the address where they need to mail the letter. The letter does not come back to you. It goes directly to the Scout office, and it is not opened until I guess it's not seen by anybody until you're bored. The Scout office will open it up, and they will make sure that it's the right letter, that everything's there. Now, here's a little rub. This form, they do not have to return this form. Don't tell them that. But the problem is, if the letter comes in without the form, then everything is good. But if just the form comes back without a letter, now you got to go back and give them, get them to write an actual letter. Okay, so be real clear with them when you're asking for recommendations. That, hey, I need you to write an actual letter, and I need you to send it to this address down here. Okay? All right. Next section, down here at the bottom of page 1 are your merit badges. It's pretty straightforward, right? You got to earn a total of 21 merit badges. The first 13 are your required ones. You've got to write the date that you earned them, and then your unit number. Your unit number is 10, right? Because we are Troop 10. And then over here is where all of your non-required merit badges go. Now, it's okay if it only requires 21. If you've earned 30 merit badges, you just start listing until you run out. You don't have to list all the merit badges that you have. All this is doing is making sure that you have reached the minimum standard. Okay, so you fill out the dates. This comes straight off your troop master report. Your assistant scout master, your adult leader for your patrol can get that for you, and all you gotta do is ask, and then you just put all these dates in with troop number 10, unless, like I know a couple, Gina, you might have earned some merit badges from a different troop. So then you would get the printout from there, and then you would put that number in the ones that you did. If you've been in troop 10 since the very beginning, then this will be 10s all the way down. Okay. Now the other thing is notice that number 7, number 8, and number 10 have options. You know, environmental science or sustainability, emergency preparedness, or life saving. So down here it says right here, cross out the badges that are not earned. Let's say that you earned emergency preparedness and you earned life saving. Well, you only one of those can count as a required. You can't count both of them as required. So you're saying, okay, I earned emergency preparedness on this day, and then you're going to cross out life saving. Now you can put life saving over here and list it as an additional merit badge earned, but you're saying that I'm using emergency preparedness as my required to meet that requirement right there. And you do that for all 3 of those. Okay, does that make sense? Let me see some nods. All right, good. Okay, all right. Next section, top of page 2. Again, the 30 boxes. That's it. Put that, your name goes right here, exactly like it was on the other side. Now, the reason that they do it, they ask for it again, this is 2 pages. Sometimes you print this out. It may not be front and back. Sometimes it's going to be 2 separate pages. So you're just putting your name on that page again in case it gets separated. And then the requirement is while a life scout serve actively in your unit for a period of 6 months, in one or in a position of responsibility. Now, there's a lot packed into there. Actively in your unit. What does that mean? What does activity mean? And we can discuss that if you've got questions. Basically, it means that you're coming to meetings, you're going on camping trips, and you are active in the troop, and you are making reports at the meetings for your position of responsibility. Now, and they're all listed right here: patrol leader, assistant patrol leader, senior patrol leader, or assistant senior patrol leader. Troop guide, OA rep, y'all know what they are. So they're going to ask you for your life board of review date. That's important, remember, because it starts the 6 months. And then what was your position of responsibility? When did it start and when did it end? And this period of time has to be 6 months, and it has to be 6 months after this date right here. So if you had your board of review on April the 1st and you started you're a patrol leader and you started in March the 1st, you can put down here that you started in March, but you cannot put that you ended this until 6 months after your life date. All right. And you can have multiple positions. So if you were senior patrol leader for 3 months and you were chaplain's aide for 3 months, then you just put those dates down here. They just have to equal 6 months, and the 6 months have to be after your life board of review date. All right, next one. The next box here is requirements 5 and 6. The only thing that you're going to put about your EAGLE requirement on this ESRA is this box, is this requirement number 5 right here. You're going to put what was the project name. You built a cat, let's see, the Great Cat Lodge. I'm using Thomas Stiles' book right here. So the Great Cat Lodge, he finished the project, and he'll put the date that he finished that. And then right here, how many hours? That comes off of the report section of your workbook. We'll go over that in a minute. And that is only for statistical purposes. They want to see the national office tracks kind of what's the average hours cumulative spent on the EAGLE project. All right, and then right here, while a life scout participate in a unit leader conference, that's your Scoutmaster conference, we'll fill that whenever you come to troop committee. We'll fill that date in. So you don't need to fill that in until we get to troop committee. All right. All right. Next one. Down here at the bottom. All right. So before we get there, there's a place in here for the troop committee chairman to sign this. There's a place in here for the unit leader, your Scoutmaster, to sign it. That's me. That's Jason Phelps. Nobody else signs these. Okay. And then down here, the last thing, the last box is requirement 7, successfully complete your board of review for your Eagle Scout rank, and the signature of the board review chair. That is not anybody from our troop. That will be somebody from the council who conducts your Eagle board of review. And they will sign this. So you don't have to worry about on that second page, You've got to sign it, but other than that, pretty much the rest of the signatures are the approvals saying that you did it. Now, why did I include this if you don't have to do anything on requirement 7? Because on that ESRA, it does not list the complete requirement. The complete requirement number 7 says successfully complete your board of review. In preparation, prepare and attach a statement of your ambitions and life purpose and a listing of positions held in your religious institution, school, camp, community, other organizations, yada, yada, yada. All right, this gets overlooked a lot, right? So you need to be aware that you need to write usually a 3 or 4 paragraph. It does not have to be long, maybe 1 page typewritten of things like your leadership positions that you've held in schools or at your youth group. It could be athletic accomplishments, anywhere where you've demonstrated leadership skills. But also we like to see what has scouting meant to you, and how are you going to use scouting in your life moving forward? So, if you had if you had a particular story where you learned something and learned a lesson, maybe you tell that story in a paragraph. There are a lot of different things and a lot of different ways that you can write this. We're going to get up on the website some samples of recent statements so that you can read it and kind of look at it and model your statement after that. But don't forget, a lot of people call this the paragraph 7 or the requirement 7 paper. It's your statement of ambition and life purpose.